25 acres in Garden City, Long Island, Nassau Community College, a member of the State University of New York system, has close to 20,000 students attend the school each year. The college mascot is Leo the Lion, and these are his stories of the school's absolute best and brightest who have graduated over the past 50 plus years. So let's catch up together as the Alumni Association of Nassau Community College proudly presents Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Welcome to Lion Tales, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation. My name is Aurora Workman. I am president of the Nassau Community College Alumni Association. I'm here with my friend and co-host, Dr. Lynnda Nadien, a proud graduate of Nassau Community College, and together we'll share stories that will inspire, uplift, and often amuse you.
Each week, Aurora and I will introduce you to alumni of Nassau Community College interested in sharing their experience here at Nassau Community College, along with the secrets to their success.
The Alumni Association at Nassau Community College works diligently to meet the needs of our alumni as well as our current students, whether it be via scholarships, public relations, or fundraising. We are thrilled to begin another action-packed year.
Look for many new and exciting events on the Alumni Association's social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, and our web pages at www.nassaucommunitycollege.edu/alumni. If you, our listening audience, has any positive news you would like to share about Nassau Community College alumni, engagements, births, graduations, weddings, and or accolades, email us at alumni@nassaucommunitycollege.edu and we will shout you out.
Well, today's guest is Katharine Margaritis. She received her Associates in Liberal Arts in 2013. She is a professional photographer, aspiring singer-songwriter, and is interested in freelance work that includes working in the entertainment field. Welcome to Lion Tales, Katharine Margaritis, class of 2013.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for coming. You know, this is such a small world, and we always look at it as our alum because your mom was my daughter's music teacher, and my daughter loved her. So we are going to shout out to your mom.
Yeah, and your mom was my music teacher.
Mine too.
Yeah.
So it's a very small world.
Mother knows best.
That's right. Yes. So tell us about your decision to attend Nassau Community College.
So my sister Rachel, she went before me, about 5 years before, and I would always hear about it, and she'd always come home with all these fun stories and stuff, so I was like, I want to go there. Like, that sounds fun.
And you actually, your degree is an Associates in Arts in Photography.
Yes.
So, which is really interesting because it's a specialized degree that you earned. And so you arrived at Nassau, and then what were some of the favorite courses that you had?
So I had a lot. I took black and white photography. I took Photoshop classes, psychology classes. I mixed a lot of different things together, but they all kind of like somehow intertwined with each other. Like they worked really well together. And yeah, it was like a lot of fun.
Yeah, and so now the black and white photography, I always loved that. So how did that teacher, that professor approach, teaching you about it and showing you samples of it, and what were some things that were sort of sticking out to you during that class?
So it was like a film class, so that was really different for me because I was used to doing more digital photography. So seeing like how they actually developed things and like getting my hands on it and probably dipping my hands in chemicals that I shouldn't have, but it was fun. It was just a totally different art form, and you got to see how much work really goes behind it and what, photographers before me would actually have to do.
Because I guess when we were on campus, we didn't have digital cameras, so everything was really the fundamentals of photography. Like you go in the dark room, and do people still use film and actually develop their own photos?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of people who do that, but it's my personal take is that I want to do digital because I have to develop my pictures fast for my clients and stuff. So
that's true, right? There's no wait time at all.
Yeah,
you can
it's like literally turnover time. They actually expect you to be done with photos that night, if not, in a couple of hours. So
So you print them out and
or you like upload them to social media.
Yeah. Well, that's so cool about today because, you know, back then you'd wait at the Photoshop. You have to take your camera in. Or, I thought we got elevated once you have to pull that film out and you couldn't let the light hit it, you know, because otherwise you'd ruin your whole roll.
Or you'd send the film away and it would come back in 6 weeks and the baby would be, 10 feet tall by the time you got the film back.
I mean, she doesn't know anything about that. Or when we thought that we were moved to modern days when we had the disposable camera, so you get the whole camera in. And then you get the
we
camera
definitely
back.
got to do that, like in class. Like we got to make pinhole cameras and like experimenting with all the stuff that they would have had us do back in the day. So I got to experience the whole cracking open the film thing and praying to God that like I didn't cut myself on it or like overexpose it or it was fun times though, for sure.
That's the times that made us.
And the little camera with the flash bulb on top, and then it would turn black when all the flashes were done. It would like turn like 4 or 5 flashes, and then you get a few pictures out of that.
So tell us about your photography. What would you describe? How would you describe your photography?
So I pretty much touch every genre of photography. I don't like to just stick to one. I like get bored very fast. So I'm like, I want to do everything. So, but when I first started, I was around 14 years old and I just started with like portrait photography. I just wanted to take cool pictures for my narcissistic pleasure. I wanted to take selfies. Woo. But then I realized like, oh my gosh, like I can turn my camera around and take pictures of other people. And like, I just loved the fact that like, I could encourage people to like see how God sees them, not just like, oh, like you're a pretty person, but like I could take somebody who like maybe wasn't confident or didn't really know who they were and like show them a different side of themselves. It was really cool.
That's always nice. You know, when you sit there and you talk about this day and age of selfies, you know, I had to tell my daughter that the camera does turn the other way.
It's amazing, guys. It really is.
You know,
I think my grandmother invented selfies because she would have the little camera with the flash bulb on top, and she would look in the mirror and take her picture. And so I said that was the first selfie, and I think 1970 she must have done it.
Yes.
It's funny because my mother did not take as many photos of us, but my father always did. But my grandmother was the one who really was constantly taking pictures of us, and random people like the newspaper boy or whoever it was. And I always thought that was so interesting because it was really like a way to keep the family together when you saw those photos later.
Right.
And like
capture
you're saying you're bringing something out in a person to have them capture that just that innocent beauty that comes from a photo.
What inspired you?
So many things. So my whole family is like very artistic, both in music and in art. And when I was young, like my major influence for art was my grandpa. I remember being like a 3-year-old and like sitting on his lap and him painting pictures and just like seeing him create something from his mind fascinated me. And then I loved like Richard Avedon as a photographer. I loved his work, his famous pictures of Marilyn Monroe. I loved how he could capture the essence of a person without them speaking.
And he has 4 of my favorite Beatle photos were taken by Richard Avedon, and they were in Life magazine, and he was the photographer for life for all those years, and those photos are beautiful.
All right, we'll come back with Katharine Margaritis. You are listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Aurora Workman, along with Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and our guest today is Katharine Margaritis, a photographer, a singer, songwriter, and proud graduate of Nassau Community College. Now, we were just talking about some of the photographers or who have inspired you and how you got that inspiration from your grandpa. Okay, what are some when you take a photo and when you knew that you had it, what was that picture? Do you remember?
Yes, actually my first shoot ever. Shout out to Christina Gavin. She was I believe my 7th grade teacher in school. Yeah. So she actually had me come take pictures of a music album that she was going to be putting out. And we took a car, shoved 50 red balloons in it and a vintage bicycle and went into the city and we shot it. And I was shooting on the tiniest little camera at the time. It was like this cheap little thing I could get. Long story short, we got this one shot where she was like sitting under a tree and she had the balloons and the bike, and I don't know, like it just looked like a painting, And it was this timeless, like, picture that, like, I could pull it out now and it would still look good, but, like, you could see her, like, personality coming through, and it was so awesome. And that's what I knew. I was like, I need to do this for the rest of my life. Like, it was cool. Yeah,
moment. I mean, there are always those moments where you have that epiphany, you know, for this is what I want to do. So what are some of your favorite places to shoot?
Definitely the beach. Like, anything with water. I grew up going to Long Beach, so that's, like, my safe haven. Parks, lots of greenery, but texture. I love anything with texture. So brick walls, things that are falling apart. Typical photography stuff.
And are you the type of photographer that is sort of lingering in the background and people might not know that you're actually taking the photo, and then you just get that shot that they're not aware of?
Definitely, but also I'm kind of like, I like to be like the life of the party. I like to be in the middle of everything, and I like getting people together. That's what I love about photography too. Like, when I was to shoot like a wedding or something, you have to really know how to talk to people and like get them out of their comfort zone, because they just met you 5 minutes before, and you need to meet their entire family and kind of get them comfortable being around you. So you have to be like in their face sometimes.
Right. And, you know, do you find too that some people just really don't feel comfortable having their picture taken at all?
Those are my favorite.
Yeah. And so how do you get them sort of engaged in the lens and taking something interesting of them?
Well, that's where I go back to Richard Avedon. He had a really awesome approach. He would always talk to the people that he was photographing prior to shooting them, even if it's just a little bit of conversation going on. I love that. I want to know who I'm talking, like who I'm photographing, because that's what I'm trying to bring out of the picture. So I try to have conversation with them. I love a challenge though. So if somebody's like, I don't know, those are more fun for me, because I'll get the shot and they're like, wow, I like didn't know that I could do that. And it's that much more cool for me.
And you get that, I look amazing.
Yes, we want that. That's the goal.
Better than I thought I looked.
Because I don't think I'm photogenic at all.
You know, people's perceptions of, you know, how they look, and, you know, again, like, yeah, you don't think you're photogenic, but then you're like, wow, that really came out good and it looks good. So that's so interesting too.
What are some of the courses that you think that you're applying to your photography?
Definitely shout out to Robert Toder, one of my favorite professors ever. He taught us Photoshop, and I literally use everything he taught me on a daily basis, having to retouch photos and editing and cropping and doing all the fine tuning. So I would not know anything that I know right now without him, hands down.
Yeah, and that's really an amazing program. Are there any other programs as compatible as Photoshop? Because I know that even the work that we do at school, if we don't have access to Photoshop, it makes our life difficult to make photos or displays. So is there any other software that's equal?
We definitely use Lightroom and stuff, but I'm a big fan of Photoshop. I like the control that I have with that more, but that's a preference thing. But we definitely had other cool classes too, like studio and getting to actually have that professional equipment. That is like so rare to find. Like in like a high school, like you might have some gear, but like we had like a full setup. I felt like I was at a professional photo shoot every time I went to class, which was really cool.
Right. And now converting to, not really for you, because you're in a generation where you probably were using so much digital quality prints and working with digital photography. But when you move toward going into the next level of that, what is that looking like for you? Like, as you know, as we move forward to 2020, and how do you think it's going to look in the next 10 years?
I have no idea. I just hope I'm not out of a job.
Yeah. I mean, you wonder, will it go back to like some vintage type of photography? Because people seem to go back to they go back to the vinyl from the CD, and they go back to, they leave the digital camera and they go back and they're going to buy their regular camera.
Yeah, we've definitely seen that a lot in the filters and stuff, like on Instagram. It started kind of getting really big when I was in college, and it was really cool to see like the different filters that you could apply to your pictures to make it look like, old school film.
Right, yeah.
So we definitely see that in, like editing and different processes that we put over film, over pictures and stuff.
You are listening to Lion Tales. Today's guest, Katharine Margaritis, is a photographer, a musician, and a proud alum of Nassau Community College. My name is Lynnda Nadien, along with Aurora Workman, on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hi everyone, I'm Kristen Bell, and I invited you here to my hotel room to talk about your cheeks. Your big, beautiful cheeks. Get your mind out of the gutter. I'm talking about swabbing them. Did you guys know that each year 20,000 Americans with blood cancer are searching for their life-saving marrow match? So here's how we can help. It's really, really simple. All you have to do is swab your cheek. Then go to giftoflife.org and request a free kit so that you can swab a cheek and save a life.
Welcome back to Lion Tales, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Dr. Lynnda Nadien, along with Aurora Workman, and our guest today is Katharine Margaritis. She earned her associate's degree from Nassau Community College in photography and explains that this college gave her what she needed to pursue her dreams. So we're going to move on to the next piece of information about you, which is some of your musical aspirations and your goals.
Cool.
So tell us a little bit about what's happening with your music.
Yeah, I've been writing music since I'm about 7 years old. It started with poetry. I don't really know what my 7-year-old heart was writing about, because what heartbreak do you go through? You know, like Jimmy stole my crayon. I don't know, but like, hey, do you, girl?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it started really young. I would write poetry, and then I would like come around the house and sing all the time. And my mom is a musician, my dad's a musician, everybody's a musician, so it was about time, just a matter of time before I also did it. But now I've been trying to drop an EP. Hopefully, we're looking at it coming out next year, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Great.
God willing. Yeah. I've been working on a bunch of different things with different people from my neighborhood that write music also, and yeah.
And so what is the genre for, the singer-songwriter? Are you going with, what's influencing you right now in the music scene? I mean, it's sort of like I've been listening to Lizzo, and I found out that she was a classical flute player before she was doing this album. And it really is an interesting album. But then you have the flip side. You have the Billie Eilish vibe going. And I mean, so where do you want to take it from that point when you're looking at these other women in music right now?
I have a more like R&B kind of vibe to me, but I also have like, I don't know, I'm like a mix of different genres. But I am very, very big fan of JoJo, Jeff Buckley, like his moody, like poetic way of writing. I write ballads, so I love Muse, Stevie Wonder, Tank, Daniel Caesar, Dirty Loops, like jazz, funk. Like, I love everything in that.
That's great, yeah. And so then what type of artist do you want to be portrayed as? You think you would just go for, like, an R&B pop? Or more folk?
I want to wear, like, all the hats. I don't want to just be one genre. I feel like artists get stuck in that genre that's
pigeonholed,
and then
that's true.
They can't really go outside of that. So, like, I see myself making different albums of different genres every time I put something out. I want to keep people on their toes so that I don't have that set in stone kind of vibe.
And so how do you usually write? On piano or guitar, or what do you usually do?
So my process is very different from what I've seen with other people. Usually, like, you write it out and you have, like, something in mind. I write poetry, and I usually have, like, a guitar player, a pianist come and just... I'll explain the vibe I'm going for, like, something slow, and, like, I'll hum something to them. And then I literally just... I'll transpose whatever I'm singing to what they're playing, like, and add to it off the top of my head.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I think people don't realize that it is such an art form. And when you look at great songwriters, you wonder, like, did it just flow naturally out of them? But it probably didn't. It started as something small, and then it evolved to chord progression, and it became the song. And sometimes that happens quickly, and sometimes it doesn't happen that quickly, so that's where it can be a little frustrating.
Yeah.
And now we're going back to the photography piece where some of the styles that we're seeing, some of your photos, just, pulling them up and looking at them right now. What are some of your favorites that you have so far?
Oh my gosh, I have so many. So right now, for the last, I think it's been 4 years now, I've been shooting for this, it's like a presentation for Angelman syndrome. It's a charity event. It's amazing. Basically, it helps fund people with that disorder, Angelman syndrome. And yeah, I get to meet all these amazing designers from, like, all around the world. And some of my favorite shots are actually the banner picture on my Facebook page. It's these 3 girls who have gone off to make really great careers for themselves. I'm really proud of all of them. Really sweet people. but it's a picture of these 3 girls on the street, and I got that shot by like a miracle, because there were a bunch of photographers all trying to get different pictures.
Right, yeah. Trying to get the angle there, you can see.
I snagged that in like 3 seconds and had to Photoshop the whole background because there was people walking around and stuff, but I try to seamlessly do that so that you can't tell. But yeah, that's one of my favorite pictures ever. It's been my banner picture for a while.
Yeah, and then there's a few. Do you like having humans in the shots, or would you go for just like, let's say, the skyscraper type background? Because I see that one now with the Empire State Building in the back.
Yeah. But yeah, so the way I shoot my models, I have a very like cinematography kind of approach. I want it to look like movie stills. So like models doing everyday life, but like there's like an edge to it, or there's some kind of editorial spin on it. So I definitely love to utilize texture, shapes, colors, and I don't ever want my models to look like they're superimposed into a picture and they're just standing there. I try to connect my models to the environment they're in.
Right. And knowing about, you have a lot of inspiration, and you have a family of musicians behind you and artists, and pursuing a career in the arts, as we know, can be difficult. But I always think about the fact that I think any career could be difficult in pursuit, but now that you are really honing your talents and you're ready to move toward that, how do you feel about having a career in the arts and the type of success that you want to have?
Well, first and foremost, I give all the glory to God, and every step that I've taken, He's led me to doors that just don't make any sense. So, I mean, not that I live without fear, because there are days where I'm like, God, like, where are you taking me? Mm-hmm. But He's led me to things that make no sense. I've gotten to work for people from Condé Nast. I currently work at Mercedes-Benz. Like, that's unheard of. Like, for somebody to just come out of college and already have a job ready for them, like, that's God. So I feel like if you have God in your life, that pressure of like, where am I taking this? Like, it kind of makes it a little lighter.
The doors just open up for you.
You're
just like,
it's
wow.
crazy.
Something's leading the way toward that. And I really feel that we, as teachers and educators, as mothers, we should always encourage our children to, find that.
You're listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Aurora Workman, along with Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and our guest today is Katharine Margaritis, a proud graduate of Nassau Community College, and a photographer. And we've been talking to you now in regards to your photography and your music. If you were to pick the one, someone said, here's the box, and this is the one I want to pursue most, what would it be? The other one will become a hobby.
Yeah. Well, for me, I feel like the two kind of really go hand in hand, because to be a musician, you need marketing, and I feel like that would be really awesome. I could do my own marketing in a way.
Well, this is true.
Right, that is true.
Because you really can't be a musician without people knowing who you are, and you need photos for that. So
right, that's true.
It's hard for me to kind of pick. But if I had to, I would definitely say music, just because I connect with people differently through my words than I do for my photos.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's true. I mean, the musical connection, I think, is always something there. It's always like sort of like deep within you, and it comes out at different times. But then when you take a photo and someone sees that photo, they sort of learn a little bit more about you as a person as well, because it's coming through, your eye.
Yeah.
What do you think makes a good photographer?
Someone who's able to be vulnerable and express themselves. One of my professors too, I absolutely loved her class because it helped me tap into this. Joyce Colbert, for one of my photo classes, we did an assignment where we were supposed to show 2 portraits of ourselves. One that was like kind of like what everyone else sees, and then stuff that we keep inside. And when we did that, it really like made me realize my photos can tap into that, the stuff that is hidden, I want that to be what my work is about.
Wow, that's really interesting. And what about, I love the Snapchat photos, because they do put the filters on, but how do you feel about, filtering photos, and what do you think that art form looks like?
I definitely do it sometimes too. I think we all do, but it also could be really dangerous too, because people have this standard of perfection that doesn't exist. So, if it's for fun, go for it.
Yeah.
Feel good about yourself. Nothing wrong with that.
And that is a good point, because I think that because we all have the camera on our phone and there's access to photos all throughout the day and we're taking so many of them, that we want to be aware of that, like what is really great photography and what is just sort of like maybe like a little bit of a hobby, but you're really pursuing it as a professional. So do you have different standards as a professional photographer?
Hands down, as a woman photographer, this industry is very focused on kind of sexualizing women in photos, and I don't want to be that kind of photographer. The way I photograph women, I try to empower them. I try to make them less of an object and more of just like showing their beauty through within. And, you know, I want to represent God in everything I do as best as I can. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was looking, just looking at your photos, and I really think that you do capture the empowerment of the woman in a lot of these photos. And although they are sensual beings, but you are capturing like, well, I have power. And there's one that I was looking at where, she's on the floor, but just the power that comes out of that piece is really great. I think you did a wonderful job by capturing the essence of that woman, the essence of that woman. And so going forward now, I mean, what are you doing? What are your...
So I do a lot. I'm all over the place. So basically I shoot pictures for Mercedes-Benz right now, which is very different because I went from doing fashion to more product photography, but it's gotten me really locked in on studio photography. I really love being in a studio. But I also, on weekends, I like to do work that I can use to help fund charity. So, like, I do a lot of homeless outreach, too, on my own. And to do that, and bless other people, I need money for that. So I will do a lot of shoots and take that money and help people with it. But I shoot models, actors, all types of stuff. It's really fun. Weddings, too, sometimes. Listeners can follow me at Let Me Take Your Picture on Instagram. That's LetMeTakeYourPicture. One word. And then also on Facebook for the same thing. Facebook.com/Let Me.
My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, along with my fabulous friend Aurora Workman, president of the Nassau Community College Alumni Association. This show is a production of the Nassau Community College Alumni Association. Visit nassaucommunitycollege.edu/WHPC for more information. Available as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. Lion Tales is powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. We'll talk to you next week.